I'm Larry Curtis, campaign manager for Gary Keith Sr., along with Ed Miller, a part-time state employee working for State Senator Michael Brady, and also radio host of Stand Up Strong. Carl Pride, media center director of Brockton Cable Access, and Susanna Sudborough, a reporter with the Enterprise. Together, our group has worked hard to bring to you, the voters of the City of Brockton, this candidates forum. Some individuals have expressed both Ed's and my involvement in the interview process due to political association with some of the candidates for office. Together, we are here to ensure you that a balanced and transparent process has taken place during the interviews conducted on October 5th, 6th, and 7th. All candidates have had the right of not being interviewed by any one of us if they believed a conflict existed. I am happy to report that all scheduled interviews were conducted without any candidates' objections. This forum would not have taken place without the collaborative efforts of our volunteers, the Enterprise, Brockton Cable Access, and our candidates. Remember to get out and vote on Tuesday, November 2nd. It's an important election for the City of Brockton. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to Candidates Forum 2021. My name is Ed Miller. I'm your host, and we are pleased to have in studio with us today Bree Nichols, candidate for Ward 7. Bree, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, thank you. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you'd be a good choice for Ward 7.
So, I'm a 25-year-old candidate, and I believe that it's very important to start my political trail now. And when I say this, I say it because it's time to see people my age who are actually engaged in the things that matter surrounding where funds are allocated in our community, who we are electing into office, and really getting a chance to know those people so that we know who is representing us. So I believe myself to be a great candidate because I have been active in the community of Brockton for some time now, as well as I am open to learning and growing with the community to ensure that I'm showing up for what is needed here in Brockton.
And what do you believe is the most important issue in your ward today?
Today, the most important issue in my ward is the water quality, as well as from hearing from constituents, the roads. Ward 7 has a lot of roads that are cracked and bumpy, a lot of potholes, and it's quite frankly disturbing to the residents of Ward 7, and that has been one of the chief complaints.
Okay. And as a councillor, you'll be required to vote on a lot of bills that come through. How would you vote if a vote comes up that may help the city but not popular in Ward 7?
So as a councillor, it would be my responsibility to inform my constituents, my neighbors who are going to be impacted by that most, what the different decisions are and what the intended outcomes could be. The best thing we could do would be to create a decision tree to show, this is what we're looking to do. This is how it would potentially, benefit you or not. Weighing out the pros and cons and then allowing the people of Ward 7 to have their voices heard. And sometimes that will include voting against things that may be beneficial to the city, but I'm intended to represent the neighbors of Ward 7.
Okay. Now, 3 years ago, the city entered a trash containing contract. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not in the councilor's purview to work on the contract, but it will be something you will have to deal with. Right now, the trash containers, the complaint is that they're so small that even a family of two have an overflow. The other issue is they're forced to buy the Brockton bags, which is $4 for $5, which even that went up 25%, but is a 350% rise in cost if they just bought regular trash bags. What are some of the issues and what are some of the ideas you may have that will help the people in your ward and the people of the city?
So first, one of the main things that we could look to do is increase our eco footprint, excuse me. We need to look towards recycling more, which would reduce significantly the trash waste that we have, as well as listening to people who are saying, hey, we have a family of 2 and these cans are small. Is there a way that, even though it wouldn't be in my purview, would it be something that I could advocate for, bring back options that are alternatives to both neighbors as well as the people who I'd be working with on the council?
Another issue is small businesses that are trying to navigate through City Hall. Many of them saying, especially first time small business owners can barely get through. And many of the contractors have said, if it takes me days to get a license in a other city, it takes me weeks here. If it takes weeks, it takes me months. Do you have any ideas, and how would you help businesses that want to open in your ward and through Brockton to make it quicker and more cost efficient for them wanting to open up in the city?
So I have personally experienced the hardships of going into the different offices within the city to figure out how to start a business. That didn't stop me, however, it does take quite longer than it does from what I've heard in other cities. One thing that we could definitely do is improve the communications between councilors and their neighbors. If you are intended to represent someone, you should be making sure that you're not just listening when they have a problem, but also reaching out to check in and ensure that things are running smoothly. Mm-hmm. So in reference to that, I would ensure that we're making open door process for people to come and say, hey, you know, what is the step-by-step, as well as I've been informed today that BCA has a large amount of space that is available to the public and Brockton residents here. This space can be utilized to also bring people here to inform them, do trainings on their different options, as well as just keeping that information clear, concise, and one centralized place for people.
And currently, the city council seat is a 2-year term. Do you feel that the city should consider of making it a 4-year term? Also, the city councils are part-time employees, but do a full-time job. And we are a city of 105,000 people. We're a growing mid-sized city. Do you feel that the 2-year terms is enough, or go to 4 years? And do you feel part-time is fine, or should we go to full-time?
So what I've heard from some counselors who have previously sat, as well as others, is that there's not enough that can really be done in 2 years. It got explained to me that you were campaigning to get into office for a large period of time. Once elected, you're in office, you're learning what it is that, you know, is the lay of the land there. And then by the time you hit that second year, it's time for you to start, you know, seeking either re-election or seeing if this is something that you're going to continue to go forward with. So I believe that it should be extended to a longer term so that people have a longer window to be more effective. As well as I believe that there should also we should look to see if there should be term limits on the current sitting councilors. I think it's, you know, goes on both ends. We may need people to sit longer to be able to be more effective, but we also may need to put a cap on how long you're able to sit if you have not shown a track record of being effective.
Now, you mentioned term limits. Don't you feel that people who are on the city council are getting the experience, and don't you feel that the term limit should be the constituents voting and maybe voting someone out if they're not doing a good job?
Now, that absolutely is part of that term limit, is seeing if people are voting to re-elect people or not. However, I believe that when we're talking about term limits, yes, people in office for a lot of years are learning and gaining the necessary experience. But I believe that there should also be programs that are put in place for counselors who are newly seeking office to be mentored by those people so that they're able to learn, you know, not while they're in office trying to figure it out, but having programs that really prepare people for what this actually looks like prior to seeking office.
And as a city councilor, do you also feel the mayor should be 4 years or stay 2 years?
I believe the mayor could do 4 years as well. We have presidents that sit for 4-year terms. I believe we could align with that model and allow mayors to really have a time of effectiveness. However, as you stated, people have continued to re-elect some mayors, which gives them more than that 2-year term to continue what they have planned.
Okay, well, thank you for coming in. We have a few minutes, so why don't you just talk to your constituents and let them know this is why they should be voting for Bree Nichols to be the councilor of Ward 7.
So I am, again, as I've stated, a 25-year-old candidate, and I have experienced the hardships of homelessness in the city. I've been an at-risk youth. I have had my run-ins with the law, but that has not stopped me from rehabilitating myself, taking accountability for things that I've done wrong to be able to right them, as well as seeking to help others in that process. The power of advocacy starts with someone who has real-life experience to be able to help you in that next step. So I believe strongly that I will be able to be the most progressive candidate to bring Brockton to that greatness that it has and push that forward.
Okay. I do have one more question.
Yes, sir.
What recommendations would you make as a city council to help the city move forward?
So one recommendation is definitely that we need an auditor in the city and an assistant auditor at all times. We need to make sure that our funds are being looked over. I know that currently the American government at large is risking passing some threat thresholds as soon as October 18th. It is important for us as local municipalities to also be cognizant of threat thresholds, and not just the people who are in office, but the people who are voting. We need not to just vote for loyalty and vote because we have a friend who's in office, but we need to vote because the person is informed about what it is that we need to progress as a city.
Okay. Well, Bree Nichols, running for council of Ward 7, thank you for coming down today.
Thank you for having me.
That's all the time we have, but thank you for talking to your constituents and getting the information out why you may be the best person. And remember, on November 2nd is Election Day. That is the day we have to get out there and choose who we want to represent us. It's your job. It's the hardest job that we have running our government, but we need the right people. It's up to you, so remember, November 2nd, Election Day for the city of Brockton. My name is Ed Miller, and I appreciate your time.
Hello, and welcome to Candidates Forum 2021. I'm your host, Larry Curtis, and we are pleased to have with us in studio today candidate for re-election to Ward 7 City Council, Shirley Azak. Shirley, welcome to Candidates Forum 2021.
Thank you for having us, having me here. And first of all, thank you to yourself for interviewing and BCA for hosting these interviews. I think it's really important to get to get the residents, to let them know who we are.
Thank you.
And what we're about.
Yeah, we appreciate that. All right, Shirley, take a couple of minutes and tell us a little bit about why you should be re-elected as the Ward 7 City Council.
Why? I think I've proven I have proven leadership. I have, I'm going into, this is my fifth election. And last year with everything that happened with COVID-19, I was council president, and I felt like I was able to keep us moving, keep city business moving where other cities and towns kind of stopped, took a halt. I made sure that we moved forward, that good things are happening in the city of Brockton. And, I talk about my proven, I think it's proven what I can do and what type of person I am. So, I love the city of Brockton. And I think that doing good things and working well with, my colleagues, working well with mayor, whoever mayor, this is my, I've worked with 3 different mayors. And, I believe in the process. I took an oath to follow the ordinances of the city of Brockton, and I uphold them, and I do my best to make sure that every decision I make isn't personal. It's really about what's best for the community and best for Brockton. So I put my, I ask the residents of the city of Brockton to re-elect me because I've done a lot, and I look forward to doing even more. Are we perfect? No. Can we do better? Yes. But I want to be a part of that. I think I don't have any special interests. I don't have any, any certain people that I answer to. I am independent and only answer to my constituents, the people who elect me to Ward 7.
All right. So one of our first questions we've asked all the councilors is, what do you believe is the most important issue facing the city council today? Why, and what recommendations might you have moving forward?
So as far as any one specific issue, I don't have one that comes off of the top of my mind as a specific issue because every day with city business is it's new business.
Something different every day. Almost.
It is something different every day. The issues that are happening nationally are not necessarily the issues of the city. Right now we're constantly working with our budget, working with department heads, trying to make the best decisions for the city of Brockton. That's why I can't say there's one specific issue, but I know what's important is working together, because if we're not working together, then nothing gets done.
So the collaborative effort of all the councilors in the best interest of the city.
Exactly.
Okay, because that leads me into the next question, actually. So as a ward councilor, when you make a vote, normally you're voting in support of the overall improvement of the city. Okay, how would you vote if the vote you cast was not favorable to your ward's constituents?
So if it wasn't favorable to my direct constituents, actually, to this date, it hasn't happened. With me, it's not personal. It's always been about what is best for the ward. So if I did receive calls telling me not to support it and not to support an issue or to support it, I really keep track of them, and I weigh, which direction the residents want me to go in. And to this date, I've always voted in support of what the ward wants, the majority of my constituents. So if I have voted, and it has happened where maybe a handful or maybe one or two constituents weren't happy with the way I voted on a matter, they have called me and I have explained the reason for my vote, because there's always a reason. It's never personal, and it's never for any special interest. It's for the best of the community. So once I explain that, the constituents usually, they're fine with it, and they're good.
And you're transparent in what you've done, what you did at that point in time.
All the time.
Okay, all right. This is kind of a little off track a little bit, but 3 years ago, the city entered into a trash agreement that resulted in smaller trash containers. The decision resulted in homeowners having to purchase city-approved trash bags for the overflow. These bags have seen a 25% increase after the second year of service. Consumer trash bags can be purchased a lot less expensive. Why is the city required to use specific Brockton bags and not a more affordable trash bag?
Well, this question is very important to me, because I was during the Mayor Carpenter, the late Mayor Carpenter was mayor, and he knew my passion for trash, because I'm all about recycling and keeping our streets clean. So I was actually the city council that was able to sit down while we were renegotiating our trash contract.
Okay.
So our barrels are not smaller. Our trash contract is by ordinance. It's by ordinance. What happened throughout the past years is residents were using barrels that were larger than what the ordinance stated. So when we renegotiated our contract, there were multiple companies that gave us information that were trying to get the new contract. but Republic Services actually offered us the best, plan, and the residents didn't pay for the new trash barrels. I remember that was very important to the late Mayor Carpenter. He did not want to go up on any pricing with this new contract. So we didn't have to pay as residents for the barrels.
Okay.
I'm not saying their design is perfect, but they are by ordinance. They're actually a little bit larger than what the ordinance says they are.
In capacity.
In capacity.
Right.
And then don't forget with these barrels, we also went to a single stream recycling barrel, which really helped us a lot because we did single stream, and the totes, the previous little green totes that we had, those I truly believe they were a problem because when it rained or there was wind, it blew trash all over our streets. So this all went together. And at the same time, we're a pay-as-you-go community, so we had the green bags. So anybody that needed to throw more trash than what fit into their barrel could buy these bags. I believe they went up to $1.25. They were $1 before.
Right.
So now they went up to $1.25, which isn't a lot because
Well, it was 5 in a package for $5. Now it's 4 in a package.
Yes.
Yeah.
So but you can fit a lot into these
Into the
barrels.
trash bags.
Yes,
Yeah,
you can.
absolutely,
Almost
yeah.
the same as the barrel.
Yep.
We did this. The city really studied this. I was able to go to multiple meetings with the DPW. One of the DPW directors, and we tried to learn from other communities that had converted to this, system. So we tried to make the best decisions for Brockton, and once again, the mayor at the time, Mayor Carpenter, did the most important thing to him was that we didn't go up in cost on the residents and on their bills, on their trash bills. So things happen, things aren't perfect, but I'm going to tell you one thing, our streets look way better on trash day than they ever did.
Sure.
I know there were some issues, but in the beginning, but we're an average family, and I have to tell you, I know exactly when it's recycled. When it's recycle
we all know
yeah.
we all know the recycling
yeah.
and trash schedules today. That's for sure. Well, that's interesting, because the perception because of the visual sight of the trash receptacle versus other communities is what drives that. And then when you're paying for a $1.25 for a trash bag because of overflow, it's perceptually it's a problem. But that $1.25 for each trash bag avoids additional costs to the city. As I understand, the trash is part of an enterprise fund. It's a self-serving, self-paying situation.
Yes, it is. And just I'd like to comment on that because, we talk about Brockton and the services we have, but I was in Situate, or it was down towards Situate, and Situate has the same size barrels that Brockton has. I don't know if they have the overflow with I didn't see any bags, but I'm like, if it's good enough for Situate, I think Brockton can deal with it. But it is an enterprise fund, but and it just pays for itself.
Correct.
We cannot profit. The city does not profit from any
And neither
income.
does the trash, because theoretically the cost of that additional overflow trash in that bag is being supplemented by the cost of the trash bag itself, as we understand.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Small business owners have expressed their frustration over the process of getting their projects approved in a timely fashion. Primary concerns tend to deal with the length of time it takes to get approvals from the different departments and boards, which has resulted in some businesses considering relocating their businesses to other towns. What can the city do to help change this process?
So as far as the city, I can tell you what I can do as a city councilor and what I have been doing. When I get an investor or somebody that wants to come in and start a business in the city that contacts me, I answer their calls. I'm right there with them depending on what board they're going before, whether it's planning, zoning, site plan review, traffic. That's how I believe I'm helpful to them, help walk them through the process. And yes, things happen, but sometimes their application isn't complete. Sometimes, it's a zoning matter, but I've made it's very important to me that I'm there with them throughout the process, that let them know where the city is, offer them customer service. I'm not saying I hold their hand, but there's a presence there on my end to make sure that they're getting their needs filled from the different departments, whether they need to go before planning, building department, whatever department they need to go before the city. So that's what I've been doing. I would like to see the city, I know the city has made changes throughout the last few years. The process is getting easier with filling applications online, you know, going before. It's difficult to say because last year was a very unique year. You know,
there were no meetings to
weren't.
go to.
So, but
Right, yeah.
now that things are, you know, when things are moving, you know, correctly, and it's our job to offer customer service, and I do that by being a presence, by letting them know that we're listening to them, and you know, not every business is what I want in my ward, but I know it's very important to me that I don't just say no from day one, that we work together. I have meetings for the community to come, you know, residents to meet with business owners. I've done that with numerous projects in the ward where in the beginning residents are really opposed to a project, but once they meet with a developer or somebody that's coming in, they relook at it. Actually, I've seen developments that have made huge changes to accommodate
Based
the
upon
residents.
community input.
Yes, one of them is
Yep.
the Cumberland Farms up on Oak Street. You know, there was a lot of opposition from some of the residents across the street, and they made huge changes to their plans for them.
Well, thank you. One last question, because we got about a minute and a half left, is currently the city council is elected every 2 years. Does the city need to consider changing the election cycle to every 4 years? And would you support the changing of council positions from what is perceived as a part-time to more of a full-time role?
I definitely agree. It should be, the term is too short because no sooner you elected, you're campaigning again. And I actually had spoken to our clerk. I've been for a few years now to change the process, and it would have to be 4 years, which some people believe that's too long. But I definitely think 2 years is too short.
Okay.
A lot of things don't get done in an election year because people are
And
campaigning.
an election year is every other year.
Every other year. So definitely, and I've tried. I'll work with colleagues to get that changed. I think it has to go through a home rule petition to do that.
Right.
And as far as, I think the last part of it is full-time.
Full-time, yes.
Full-time, definitely. Actually, it is a full-time job. It's a full-time, I answer my phone 24/7. You know, you want to be available for the residents, but I mean, the pay is minimal. Nobody does this for the money. You know?
Right.
But it definitely would be, I would like to be somewhat like Boston, but you know, the pay is nowhere going to be near Boston. But we are, the councils that do the job right are doing this full-time.
Full-time. All right. 30 seconds, closing statement. Look at your camera and...
Well, thank you again. Thank you to BCA, and I'd like to ask the residents of Ward 7 to please, on November 2nd, go out and vote Shirley Azak for Ward 7 City Council. I need your vote. We need to get reelected. I don't have any special interests. My only interest is you, the resident, and my love for the community really keeps me moving forward, wanting the city of Brockton to do well and to flourish, and that's what I hope for. So I hope you will reelect me November 2nd, okay. Shirley Azak.
All right, Shirley, thank you for taking your time for coming in today. And on behalf of all of us here at BCA, we want to thank you for viewing these programs today. Don't forget to get out and vote Tuesday, November 2nd. Thank you.